313watkins.com. Streaming on Roku.
All right, y'all, welcome to another show. Real Talk with Tulu Cabone and Pastor Frank Jackson. Pastor Frank Jackson had to work today, so he won't be chiming in. I don't think so. But anyway, you know what I always say, if you hear the sound of my voice, that means God has blessed you to see another day. Prayers go up, blessings come down. Let's say amen. Also, I want to give, I'm going to greet you in the tongue of Swahili, Habari Gani, and the response is Nzuri. Also, I want to give shouts out to Brother R.J. Watkins and Brother Henry Tyler for putting together this brainchild called 88.1 FM radio, WHPR, WHPR, and then 107.5 FM, WGPR HD3. Shouts out to Miss Maxine and Miss Michelle as well. And don't forget, R.J. Watkins and Brother Henry Tyler, which I think is a great compliment, are 2015 R&B Hall of Famers. So, today, everyone, we're going to have an interesting conversation. We're going to learn a little bit and talk a little bit. So, the Black Panthers has always been really a criticized organization for many years. And some of their stuff is still going on or still exists today. Some of the things they did. They started free medical. They started a free lunch program. They started a program guarding senior citizens. But there was also another organization that many of you don't even know about. That was just as, some people say, just as revolutionary as the Black Panthers. In fact, they were the offshoot of the Black Panthers. So now we're going to play the video. I'm not even going to tell you what it's about. I want y'all to pay attention because this is fire and it's definitely going to blow your mind. And it started in Detroit, Michigan. Thank you.
The White Panther Party of Detroit and Ann Arbor, Michigan was a radical counterculture group which became a major target for the FBI's counterintelligence or COINTELPRO program between 1968 and 1971. In October of 1970, the FBI referred to the White Panthers as potentially the largest and most dangerous revolutionary organization in the United States. So today, we're going to give you some background on this group and why they are so pivotal to the legal landscape as well as the civil rights movement in the United States.
Welcome back to our channel. I'm Haas.
I'm Cece.
Today we got a hot topic for you.
The White Panther Party of Detroit and Ann Arbor, Michigan was a radical counterculture group which became a major target for the FBI's counterintelligence or COINTELPRO program between 1968 and 1971. In October of 1970, the FBI referred to the White Panthers as potentially the largest and most dangerous revolutionary organization in the United States. So today, we're going to give you some background on this group and why they are so pivotal to the legal landscape as well as the civil rights movement in the United States.
Welcome back to our channel. I'm Haas.
I'm Cece.
Today we got a hot topic for you. Welcome back, Adventure Seekers. So, the White Panthers. How did they come about? That's the question, right?
Yep. How did they come about?
Well, during a radio show interview in 1968, Huey Newton was asked, how can white people support the Black Panther Party?
Okay.
And it seemed like they also wanted to see if white people could join the Black Panther Party.
Okay.
And he responded by saying they should start their own organization and be in solidarity with the Black Panther Party.
Okay. Listening to this interview at that time was a white counterculture group who called themselves the Detroit Artists Workshop.
Okay. Now the collective was a radical arts group founded in 1964 near Wayne State University.
Okay.
Right? And among its concerns was the legalization of marijuana and the ills of capitalism. And they had a network of communal houses, a print shop, and a performance space. And they had heard the Huey Newton interview and decided to found the White Panther Party.
Now, this White Panther Party had three primary founders. There was jazz, rock and roll photographer Lenny Sinclair,
Okay.
and who also, by the way, ran this company called the Magic Veil Light Company, which produced psychedelic light shows. And then there was jazz poet John Sinclair, who managed the gritty proto-punk band MC5. And then, of course, there was the communal member, his name was Pun Plumunden, who ended up driving equipment trucks for rock bands. The group was most active in Detroit and Ann Arbor, Michigan area, and they defined themselves as the White Panthers, and that they were basically fighting for a clean planet, and they were freeing political prisoners. That was pretty much their motto. And they added other elements along the way, such as advocating for rock and roll, dope, and making love in the streets, and also abolishing capitalism.
Dope. Now, dope. The word dope. I mean, you know, that's when you hear the word dope, you're like, oh man, that's a harsh word. See that this classification of dope covers all of it. Well, you know, when I thought about dope, it usually was harsh.
Well, I'm sure John Sinclair's use of the word dope in this situation was more casual, you know, because I think that's just what they called it back then.
Exactly. Apparently, he meant marijuana as dope. I mean, that's what he thought of was dope also. Was marijuana.
Anything that made you dopey.
Yeah, I guess so.
Because it makes you dopey, right?
Well, that's an interesting part. Just wanted a caveat there, a little sidebar. But you know, I also wanted to note that the White Panther Party chose their name without consulting with the Black Panther Party, right? Mm-hmm. And in fact, the Black Panthers initially used to joke by saying the White Panthers were a group of psychedelic clowns. They called they're being a bunch of psychedelic clowns.
Wow.
You know, but the Black Panthers changed their perspective, you know, as they saw how the White Panther Party was being instrumental in distributing the Black Panther Party's papers in Detroit and throughout Michigan.
Okay. Well, in the years leading up to the formation of the White Panther Party, the Detroit Artists Workshop, you know, had been previously targeted by police, and they have been raided numerous times. And I think in one big bust, there have been 54 people who were once arrested.
Right.
And typically it was just for marijuana possession.
Right.
And following one of the police raids, the Detroit Artists Workshop reorganized into a group called Trans Love Energies Unlimited.
Yeah, I like
now,
that.
That's a crazy name.
That's a cool name.
Trans Love Energies Unlimited.
They're transferring love and energy unlimited. Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean that's a poet that came up with that. Folks was snapping when they heard those type of names. But anyway, go ahead.
But on a more serious note, they did this group. They did as Trans Love Energies Unlimited. They did help a lot of homeless people who had been left homeless after the Detroit uprising against the police in 1967.
Gotcha.
In which I think 2,000 buildings were burned to the ground.
Yeah.
And during the uprising, the workshop, the counterculturists, they flew a banner outside of their commune that said "Burn, baby, burn," which actually ended up for the police raiding them again and actually halting their ability to help these people who had been homeless during that time period. But
white members of the Detroit Artists Workshop were not only receptive to the Black Panthers' message because of their negative experience with police and their shared vision of capitalism as oppressive, but as jazz aficionado John Sinclair puts it, we dug black people, man. You know, that's where the great music came from, baby, and the great weed and the refreshing concepts of sexuality. All of that stuff didn't come from no white people. Are you kidding me?
okay. Okay, so this is what you're saying. This is what John Sinclair said.
This is what John
Okay.
Sinclair said.
Okay, so,
And
so
for
you're channeling
many,
him.
I was channeling him. For many of the white counterculturalists, particularly those who joined the White Panther Party, their fantasy of black culture offered an expression of freedom from everything they felt was wrong with white America.
That's a very interesting perspective.
That is, isn't it?
It is. It is. So, with that said, the White Panther Party issued their own 10-point platform. And so, number one, I'm just going to read it off here to you guys. Number one started with the full endorsement and support of the Black Panther Party 10-point program. So, meaning they were in support of everything the Black Panther Party was trying to represent and so forth.
Right.
And number two is a total assault on the culture by any means necessary, including rock and roll, dope, and effing or making love in the streets.
It wasn't making love. They wanted to do more than make love.
Anyway, number three was the free exchange of energy and materials. So basically, we demanded an end of money. So I think that was basically like they wanted to have like a barter system, you know, where you know I grew some green beans. You made a shirt. So rather than exchanging with money, we'll just do an exchange for what we need.
Exactly.
Number four was free food, clothes, housing, dope, music, bodies, medical care.
So
Basically everything free for everybody.
they wanted their drugs and the things that they use for their fun to be for free too.
Yeah, everything for free. It just go and select it.
That's
and then
a lot.
Number five is free access to information, media, free technology from the greed creeps, which, you know, I think that's still a fight that we're having nowadays. And then, of course, number six was free time and space for all humans, dissolve all unnatural boundaries. Number seven was free all schools and all structures from corporate rule, and turn the buildings over to the people immediately. Number eight was free all prisoners everywhere. They are our brothers. And number nine was free all soldiers at once, no more conscripted armies. And number 10 was free people from their leaders, because leaders suck. And all people, all power to all people. Freedom means free everyone.
Yeah.
So I wanted to show that, because a lot of people was unaware that there was even a thing called the White Panthers. And the White Panthers, there's other videos that's more in depth about the White Panthers that's on YouTube, but they were shadowing somewhat of the Black Panthers. And if you listen to the platform the White Panthers had, even within their 10-point platform, some of the language they use is what the progressives uses now. Abolish capitalism, abolish prisons, get rid of leadership. You know, and I wanted to show this, because why was this information hidden in history that we didn't even know anything about it, right? And people should, because I'm a firm believer that you always got to learn something to know more than what you always have to learn what stuff came from. So when I began to study the progressive movement platform, and if you go back and listen to the platform on the White Panthers, some of the stuff, again, they use come from the platform on the White Panthers. More so, I didn't know that a group was so aligned with the Black Panthers organization that they gave the Black Panther literature out. You know, and that's just stuff, man. When I found this out, and they started in Detroit and got their final foundation in Ann Arbor, on Hill Street in Ann Arbor, where they became real big at. If we look at the progressive movement today, where's their primary foundation or their primary hub is at? In Ann Arbor. That's a fact. So I just wanted to share that information. To me, it was important to share, because when people begin to bash the Black Panthers, and it bothers me sometimes, because I understand that the Black Panthers had some of the stuff some people may disagree with. I get that. But the fact that they started a free lunch program, free health care program, They taught us somewhat of, well, I ain't gonna say somewhat. They taught us to love who we were as individuals and have pride in ourselves. So, but again, I understand some people may not agree with everything they did, which I understand. But to know there was an offshoot of the Black Panthers as a result of what UP News said about white people was, again, shocking to me. So I wanted to play that information. I did receive a text message from somebody, why are you playing this? So I wanted to talk about it, man, because, again, the more informed you are, the better off you are. So when people getting ready to criticize the Black Panther again, I'm going to say, well, what about the White Panthers? All right, y'all, we're going to go to the next video. Now, listen, I you know what, and I have to say this. I don't understand what I do, why people are so afraid or don't want to deal with the issue of racism in America straightforward. So Eddie Clark Jr. is going to lay it out, and we're going to have a conversation about it. Phone number to call in is 313-365-7379, and that's 313-365-7379. Thank you.
For years, many people have argued that Donald Trump's victories were driven mostly by the economy. Rising prices, inflation, and frustration with Washington were often presented as the biggest reasons voters supported him. But one professor says that explanation ignores a much deeper truth, and his comments have sparked a heated national debate. During a live discussion, Professor Eddie Glaude challenged the idea that economics alone explains Trump's support. He argued that millions of Americans knowingly chose a convicted felon over a qualified Black woman, and that this decision cannot simply be dismissed as frustration over the cost of groceries or gas.
People voted because their life's too damn expensive, and it was here, and they voted for. You're telling me, Stephanie, that all of these people who believe that their lives are, that bread is too high and eggs are too high, that they voted for a convicted fella, a guy who said we can grab the pea.
I think that a lot.
They voted for this guy.
I'm not defending it, but I think there are tons of people that don't pay attention to, and I'm not defending it, don't pay attention to politics at all. But while we live in the most prosperous country in the world, people are saying life's not fair. I'm not doing well. My son's still living in the basement. I can't seem to get a job. I don't like the status quo. I'm voting for something else, and
I love you to life.
I love you,
but I do not believe that. I cannot believe that. And the reason I think you believe it is because you don't want to believe that that's what's really motivating them. It's always the case. People don't want to believe what the country actually is, because if they believe it, they're going to have to confront what's in them. I don't believe that. They voted for a crook, a person who they know is stealing from, just doing everything to undermine the so-called country that they love. And then they're telling us the BS that it's economics. We know that's not true.
According to him, refusing to confront the role race plays in American politics only allows the same patterns to continue. Glaude also claimed that many policies being promoted today are not just about immigration or law enforcement, but reflect deeper fears about America's changing demographics.
I'm talking about what happens to you. If you've barely escaped suicide or death or madness or yourself, you watch your children growing up, and no matter what you do, you are powerless. You are really powerless against the force of the world that is out to tell your child that he has no right to be alive, and no amount of liberal jargon, no amount of talking about how well and how far we have progressed does anything to soften or to point out any solution to this dilemma. In every generation, ever since Negroes have been here, Baldwin writes, every Negro mother and father has had to face that child and try to create in that child some way of surviving this particular world. Some way to make the child who will be despised not despise himself. I don't know what the Negro problem means to white people, Baldwin writes, but this is what it means to the Negro. What does it mean to try to construct an idea of the self in a country that is organized in every single way on the basis, on the grounds of the value gap? Not because people are mean-spirited, but it's because it's in the very DNA of the country. And this is what makes addressing the problem, I'm leaving my notes now. This is what makes addressing the problem of white supremacy, of racial inequality in this country so difficult, because we refuse to look the ugliness of who we are squarely in the face and dare to imagine ourselves differently. This is hard work. This is hard. The value gap isn't sustained by loud racists. The value gap is sustained by all of us. All of us. You don't need white people for white supremacy to work. When I'm in New Jersey and I'm driving down Stuyvesant Avenue in Trenton, I hold a set of generalizations about the people who occupy that particular neighborhood. It's known as Little Iraq. I keep my head on a swivel. Right? There's a kind of particular fear that gets generalized, that is generalized to an entire population, that informs a set of assumptions about how I interact with them. And those generalizations have policy implications. We are socialized and habituated into believing, right, certain things about certain folks. Right? I write about this in the text. Dear Nancy DeTomaso at Rutgers, a social scientist, she did a series of interviews of white working class folk in Cleveland, in Ohio, and in Tennessee, and in Jersey, I believe. And she said she was interviewing these workers, and one worker said, I'm sorry, black people are just lazy. They just want a handout. You've heard this before. It's been informing public discourse since I can remember remembering. And they don't want to work hard for anything. And it turned out that his father was close friends with the union boss who hooked him up with a job. Another interviewer, right? I'm sorry to say they're just lazy. They don't want to work. It turns out that not only his friend gave him the test that he needed to take for his job, gave him the answers to the test. And what Nancy's trying to suggest in this moment is, right, not that there is some, right, overt racism that's happening. People are just hooking up their friends and families, right? That it's what she calls opportunity hoarding, that racial inequality actually is perpetuated through social networks, right? And because we're so deeply a segregated society, our social networks are typically, 75% of our social networks are 100% homogeneous. So opportunities pass through certain networks that do not pass through others. Right? I'm just helping out my child. I'm not being racist. Right? I'm just helping out my neighbor. I'm not being racist. I said something jokingly to a friend the other night. I said, if we want to solve black-on-black crime in the United States, we just need to integrate neighborhoods. And they didn't quite get it. I said, some of you didn't get it either, right? Most crime takes place, right, because of proximity. White on white crime, 83% of crime that happens in white communities happens between white and unwhite people. 91% happens because our neighborhoods are segregated. If we all move together, then we'll just be criminal with each other. Racial habits. The value gap distorts who we take ourselves to be. It blocks the way to the formation of the kinds of people democracies require. I was just talking about, with Reverend Hart Anderson, about Abraham Lincoln's rejection of the monstrous injustice of slavery, but his commitment to the belief that white people were superior than black people. And how those commitments blocked the way from him becoming the kind of human being his idea of democracy required.
He pointed to what he described as a long history of avoiding honest conversations about racism, privilege, and inequality, arguing that these issues continue to shape politics in ways many people refuse to acknowledge.
You know, America's not unique in its sins as a country. We're not unique in our evils, to be honest with you. I think where we may be singular is our refusal to acknowledge them. And the legends and myths we tell about our inherent, goodness to hide and cover and conceal so that we can maintain a kind of willful ignorance that protects our innocence. See, the thing is that when the Tea Party was happening, we were saying, pundits, oh, it's just about economic populism. It's not about race. When people knew, social scientists were already writing that what was driving the Tea Party were anxieties about demographic shifts, that the country was changing, that they were seeing these racially ambiguous babies on Cheerios commercials, that the country wasn't quite feeling like it was a white nation anymore. And people were screaming from the top of their lungs, yo, this is not just simply economic populism. This is the ugly underbelly of the country. See, the thing is this, and I'll say this and I'll take the hit on it. There are communities that have had to bear the brunt of America confronting, white Americans confronting the danger of their innocence. And it happens every generation. So somehow we have to kind of, oh my God, is this who we are? And just again, here's another generation of babies. Think about it, a 2-year-old had his bones broken by two parents trying to shield him from being killed. A woman who has been married to this man for as long as I've been on the planet almost, lost her husband. For what? And so what we know is that the country has been playing politics for a long time on this hatred. We know this. So it's easy for us to place it all on Donald Trump's shoulders. It's easy for us to place Pittsburgh on his shoulders. It's easy for me to place Charlottesville on his shoulders. It's easy for us to place El Paso on his shoulders. This is us. And if we're going to get past this, we can't blame it on him. He's a manifestation of the ugliness that's in us. I've had the privilege of growing up in a tradition that didn't believe in the myths and the legends because we had to bear the brunt of them. Either we're going to change, Nicole, or we're going to do this again and again, and babies are going to have to grow up without mothers and fathers, uncles and aunts, friends, while we're trying to convince white folk to finally leave behind a history that will maybe, or embrace a history that might set them free from being white. Finally.
ICE has become the largest federal law enforcement agency for one reason only. Its charge is to make America white again. And I think that's really important for us to insist upon. This is not about violent criminals. This is not about safety. This is about trying to address demographic shifts. Trying to address demographic shifts that disrupt a particular understanding or particular view of the American polity. And I think it's important for us to begin to report it in this way. It's not about Stephen Miller and his quota. It's not about Holman cosplaying Bull Connor. It's really about what is driving this immigration policy. And I think it's deeply, and I think I know, it's profoundly racist. And it's rooted in an ideology that's tied to, bound up with white nationalism.
Okay, Mr. Henry, Mr. Tyler. But anyway, that was real as it get. And Eddie Clark Jr. is from Mississippi. Pascagoula, to be more specific. The stuff he was saying is what we often say on this show. And I, sometimes people look at me and, with the stuff I say, it's also gut punching. I've said numerous times the reason they didn't elect Kamala Harris is because she was black. And so, I want to really dig into that, because I am sick and tired of being sick and tired of black people and women. Let me add this part to it. White women, black women, not being able to get in the seat of power because America has not confronted or deal with, one, the race issue, and two, male chauvinists towards women being in power. There's no way in the world, and I want y'all to really draw up on this measure, piggybacking off of what Eddie Clark Jr. said. If Donald Trump was a black man, follow me on this, y'all. Follow me. We got a caller. Go ahead, caller. Brother
So this is Reverend Jackson.
Oh, Pastor Frank Jackson called in. Go ahead, go brother.
Not only is he telling the truth, but he is also pointing out a fact that the people just don't want to accept. They don't want to accept it. They don't want to be racist. They don't want to tell the truth. But the fact of the matter is, you didn't vote for Donald Trump because of the economy. The economy is worse under him. Both terms. Gas prices are up. It's worse under him. They voted for him because deep down inside, you want to preserve white people. And that is something that people don't want to face. Voting for Donald Trump means you preserve. ICE is now the largest law enforcement in the country, and their task is to get brown people out the country. There are no massive raids where European Americans come immigrant into this country. No one's checking them out. There's only where brown people are.
Correct.
And black people are.
Correct.
And so he pointed out the truth, and he said it to his friends. He says, "You guys don't want to admit it." He said it to Stephanie right on the show. It deep down inside, you don't want to admit it because it makes you uncomfortable. It makes people uncomfortable to have to face that racism.
Well, you know what, Pastor, though, but, you know, as me and you talk about out there, you know, it's a reality. And, you know, I'm not a person that goes run away from that ghost. You know, we have to confront that. And I, you know, like I was saying, you know, how would you, if Donald Trump was a black man and all the stuff he done said and did, allegedly, would he be in power right now? And the answer is no. Even looking
you and I both know if Barack Obama did a quarter of the stuff Donald Trump does, a quarter of it, not even half, not even an eighth of what he does, there'd be impeachment hearings, congressional Congress hearings. I mean, we would be knee deep in hearings and investigations. Listen, Donald Trump literally said Joe Biden should go to prison because of what Hunter Biden did or was involved in, what have you, making money off the presidency. This guy literally got a DOJ, an attorney general that basically said, you can't look into what me and my family are doing. To give a DOJ, a new DOJ practice, which is against the law, by the way. I don't think it's gonna stick, but he literally got him to do that.
That's facts.
The monumental cause basically says you can't make me out the presidency. This guy is literally, he takes a ring from a country and then removes the tariffs off the diamonds, the ring that they gave him. If Barack Obama just did that, Barack Obama wore a tan suit and they wanted to impeach him. He wore a tan suit and they wanted to impeach him.
Correct. I mean, can you imagine if Barack Obama had tore down the the women's suite, the president, the first lady suite? If he had tore it down and said, "I want to build a giant ballroom, you know, and I want my name on the Kennedy Center," what would they have done with that? Go ahead.
If he had suggested to put his name on a dollar bill or anything. And then what's really crazy is, and people can't see this, can you believe Barack Obama has not been president since 2016?
And they still talk about him.
It's 10 years, and Donald Trump still blames Barack Obama. Whenever someone brings up something he did, he'll say, "Have you heard of Barack Hussein Obama?" He literally says that to this day.
10 years later, even though he's been
10 years later, this guy hasn't been president in 10 years, and he's still living rent-free in your head.
Well, let's go ahead. What if because people was talking about when he did the speech Friday, I forgot what state it was, but anyway, he had had the police behind him, which is, I'm digging that. And he said, "Well, I believe in, to protecting law and order." And so when somebody asked Todd Blanche, who was on Meet the Press yesterday, I can't recall her name, but anyway, she asked him, "Well, what about January the 6th and the party?" He said, "Well, that's something different. President got party." Man, listen, I told people they changed the whole law in California. But in 1960, Reagan them did when the Black Panthers walked up there with guns. legally.
Reagan was Reagan was pro gun control then.
Yeah.
When the Black Panthers had guns, he was gun control all over the place. He was the poster child for gun control.
Right.
When I show people those YouTube clips of him running for governor in the 1970s when the Black Panthers were organizing just to protect a neighborhood, he was gun control all through. Every commercial he had, he was pro gun control.
So, and the reason I say that, if we look, and I think a lot of people really downplay January the 6th, Pastor, and I think it really ties into what's going on now. January the 6th, 2021 was absolutely 200% horrible. And if that would have been black people, you wouldn't listen. They would have mowed us down trying to get in there. And then President Trump coming there last year, and he pardoned all 1,500 of them. And moms is the word. I know brothers, I talked to a brother yesterday. He did 47 years for a crime he didn't commit. Listen, 47 years. They got a brother in Louisiana right now who did 40-something years, I think 40 or 30-something years, in one of the worst prisons in the United States, and they don't want to give him a penny. And these guys pled guilty to assaulting officers, defecate in the Capitol, running through there with Confederate flags, and every one of them came in and got a blanket pardon. And it's downplayed like, oh well, that's just how. No, that shows me what we're talking about now. America is a racist, not in general, but the concept in the DNA of America operates on racism. And until we can be, listen, I'm honest, I'm okay. I can have that conversation, and until we have that conversation, Pastor, we're going to have a problem. You know what I'm saying? We have to have that conversation, because we up at word. They took the vote, good brother. They're trying to strip, and you talk about this all the time. They're trying to strip every right they can from us with no question. And if we don't stay on, and look, if we don't keep our head on the voting swivel, they're going to try to put us back in slavery. I don't care what nobody say. Now, will they achieve that? No. But when you keep taking rights away from people, right, that's a problem. As you said to me, what are we going to do? That's what you said to me. Mm-hmm. You said, Tula, if they take all our rights, what are we going to do? And people don't see it.
And what did you tell me? What did you tell me they weren't? What did you tell me at first they weren't going to do? You said they're not going to do that. Well, I said they doing it right now.
Well, yeah. I mean, so that's why I like talking to people to help me correct my naivety. But I'm saying to you in general, this is real. I mean, if we hear what Eddie Clark, see one thing about, and I say this respectfully, one thing about people in the South, we done seen it. Like I told people. When I was 8, 9 years old, I seen my granddad. We pulled up next to the Ku Klux Klan in the car while they was collecting money. My granddad had his window down. Don't you know this guy had his mask on, and we was in the area, something like Gratiot, in the main city area of Miss. And this guy walked up to the car, man, and literally thought we was gonna give him some money. We was told, Pastor, when the Klan marched through towns, they would tell us to stay in tonight, because the Ku Klux Klan is walking through the town. Listen, this is real. So when you feel that gut punch of racism, your perception is different. I got a scar on I was looking at the scar in the mirror the other day. My left eye, I got a scar over my eye. Well, a white boy hit me in the face with an axe handle when I was 16, all because I had a white friend. So, I mean, so for me, it's real. Like, right, so when you have that lived experience for real in the raw, and it's overt, not covert, it's different. Now, you, on the other hand, you went to school, I think, in South Dakota. So North Dakota. So you done felt it like, whoa, okay, this is where it's at.
We had the Kamipatatalians when I was there. The people, they don't believe in government above the county level. Wow. That was a group that was real big then.
Right, but I'm just making a point. Sly, I see you calling
alive and well.
Yeah, I see you calling me, Sly. I'm gonna let you call in. But I just really, Pastor, and I like, me and you always joust and have a great conversation. But I cannot tell our people more. Stop letting people tell y'all not to vote. I don't get that. I just don't. I mean, I like, you know, I tell people, if we didn't vote, do you think we'll be where we are now? And when they say, oh, the Democratic Party have done nothing for black people. Okay, well, eliminate the Democratic Party, black people. And what do we have?
Man.
No, I'm saying just say, okay, nobody black voted. We all just sat home and we didn't vote in the 1960s. We wouldn't have had Kennedy with the affirmative action executive order in the 1960s. We got the Voting Rights Act. We got the Civil Rights Act. They started more of the welfare program. I go on and on the stuff that we got as black people voting for Democrats. Now let's put a rug off that. Now tell me what we got for Republicans after the 1900s. Please don't go back to the 1800s. I'm tired of that. People always bamboozling. Oh, well, you know the Democrats did. Okay, that was a different party. The Democratic Party began to switch in the 1960s.
I'll do one more solid than that. I asked them what did they do in the last year or two?
Oh, well said. Let's go there.
Gutted the Voting Rights Act, gutted the Civil Rights Act, and now have a movement to try to take away the Reconstruction Amendments.
Man.
Hello.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't have to go back to 1800. I can go back. I can just look at last year.
Correct. I like that. But Pastor, my thing is, man, we just, and I'm really, I love this, I love doing radio, man, because we are really sharing our opinions and facts and history and videos. But we have to be out here on the front line doing what we do, Pastor. Because when I watch them YouTube videos, good brother, some of the brothers, man, I'd be like, okay, he working, he's a op, as they say in the hood. He's a op.
Yeah.
You can't, how are you telling black people, if they don't give you nothing tangible?
Officer Tatum.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, Officer Tatum, horrible.
Stephen A. Wright.
You tell him, well, if they don't give y'all nothing tangible, you should just sit at home and sit on your hands. Oh, okay. Don't do nothing. They love that. They just really gonna knock your head off and put you behind the 8-ball. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you ain't gonna fight back? Oh man, let's go ahead and pass them laws. Let's strip them on their voter rights. Let's strip them on their civil rights. Let's strip them on everything. Now I want you to go assert that you got a constitutional right with a racist judge.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because that's not working for us, Pastor. Saying that we got a constitution. Yep. Listen, that's the reality. And what happens, good brother, is that the courts bamboozle us to believe, well, you got a constitutional right, so you really don't need those laws. Then when you go and say, okay, well, let me exercise, and you get a racist judge and he's looking at you and say, okay, well, no, yep, I understand. Constitution wasn't violated. But if you had that extra protection that we had, now you got something else to stand on that he has to fight against to overcome. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is real. And sometimes I tell people, Pastor Jackson, I say, y'all need to do a pilgrimage in the South. Just go down there. Because up here, those who are racist, because I don't believe, and I've said this numerous times, I don't believe all white people are racist. I think that's moronic. That's my opinion. That the racism up here is more covert. It's hidden.
It definitely is covert.
It's more covert. Whereas down south, it's more overt.
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So when you experience that overt racism, you begin to understand how covert racism operates. You begin to see that pattern of, okay, yeah, this is real. So yeah, man, I think, I just, Eddie Clark Jr. hit home with me. I'm like, okay, yeah, but I listen to him all the time. And I'm just like, okay, this is real. Well, anything you want to say, Pastor? I'm
enjoying the show, man. I wish I was there with you, man. Go ahead and get Sly on the phone, man, and I'll be there with you next week.
Okay, I'm going to call you after the show. Can I call you?
Right.
Oh, yeah,
yes,
I know
sir.
you're at work. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Take care,
All right. As always, Pastor Frank Jackson, I love, listen, me and that brother dialogue off the show. I dialogue with Justin. Me and anybody you see me co-host a show with, we have genuine conversation, even me and Justin. Me and Justin have great conversation. Me and Pastor have great conversation. So, hey, good brother Sly, if you want to call in, go ahead. But this is the thing, man, and I'm saying this for a reason. They're talking, so it was a lady named Flanagan, I think out in Wisconsin, and I'll have it after we show partial of the video. Kamala Harris wanted to, this is recently, she's so-called progressive, Flanagan. Kamala Harris wanted to, I guess, assist her with a campaign. She told Kamala Harris she didn't want to help. No, I don't want you to help me. I'm good. Now, so-called Democratic progressive said this to Kamala Harris. So I'm sitting there thinking, like, what is it about Kamala Harris that they don't like? Right? And I'm thinking, okay, it has to be the fact that she's a black woman. I'm going to say it again. And we have to come to grips with that. I said one time, was it, and I'm going to put it out here, was it male chauvinists that didn't get Haley Stevens elected? They didn't want two women representing Michigan in the United States Senate. I'm going to say that as well. You know, we have issues. But I think we got to call him, Mr. Tyler. I think so. Hello?
Hello. Hey, Tula.
Hey, how you doing, Amanda?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
I just wanted to say, oh my gosh, this is a really great and amazing show. And it was really nice hearing Pastor Frank Cullen. I really like your guys' dialogue. I really like listening to you guys conversate, and I really think it makes the show just a little bit more educational and impactful than it already is. The first gentleman that you played after the couple that was talking about the White Panther Party, he was brilliant, and I really loved every single word that he said was captivating, and he really made sense in everything that he spoke. I was wondering if you could please tell me his name again, and I just want to say great show to
All right, thank you
I'm
so
always
much.
watching.
All right, thank you so much. His name is Eddie Claude Jr. People, what I'm finding, I don't know what that is. You okay, Miss Tyler? Yeah. Okay. Hello? Yeah, testing. What I find is people are afraid of people like he and I, Pastor Frank, Justin. When because I was talking to, and I got permission to say this from Mr. R.J. Watkins. I did. He said I could say this on the air. When somebody tell him that his platform is too black, that bothered me because I don't know what too black mean. I don't, and I frowned on that, and because statements like that are made, it allows for us to be vulnerable to be a victim of racism. Because anytime you teach a culture, it's how you teach it. Right, you don't have to teach culture in a way that causes you to put down other people's culture, which in anybody that teaches black culture, most of us, that's African Americans, what they call foundation, and some people use FBA. We're only living out our lived experience in America or what our ancestors, who was human trafficked over and brought over here, lived out. So when we show history, we're telling the truth about what exists. Like, and a lot of people don't like that. They want us to dummy that down. Like, I didn't grow up in a household, and I tell people this, where my family use the N-word. I had to check a brother. I was at a political event this week, and the brothers called me the N-word. I said, "Oh," and this brother's a well-known brother. I said, "Hey, man, don't call me that." He looked like, "Well, hey, no, don't call me the N-word, family." And I didn't trade a white slave master in for a black one. You not calling me the N-word. And that word was not used in my house. So when I tell people that, like my brothers, we all the same. They shocked by it. Come, we got to call it. Go ahead, good brother. Go ahead, Sly.
Hey, Brother Tula, what's going on?
What's up, family?
Hey, look, I don't know if you still have it or not, but when you talk about these people that supported Trump, maybe you could scroll back in your phone, or you may have to revisit it.
Okay.
Because I remember I sent you something about early May.
Okay.
There was a study by the University of Delaware.
Okay.
Where they interviewed white people, and the majority of them, the article was about how the majority of the white folks supported Donald Trump because, and it is tied to racism. It is because they did not want to see black and brown people, mainly black people, receive the same benefits and liberties that they receive.
Okay.
Okay. Now you can revisit it. You could just
I'm gonna look for it.
Yeah. And if you can't find it, you could just go to the internet and just search
Okay.
University of Delaware study on white people supporting Trump against their best interest, because they did go against their own interest. They're willing to suffer. They're more willing to suffer than to see us achieve the level playing field that we have been fighting for since we've been over here.
Correct. And to me, it's like, I mean, well, go ahead, but I'm gonna let you finish your statement.
Yeah, and then when you were, I'm gonna tell you, one of the best things we had going for us was the Black Panthers. I remember as a kid in '72 when the Black Panthers came. They came to my elementary school, and sickle cell was very prevalent in the black community. They had free sickle cell testing, and for those who participated, if you came and you brought your kid up to the school, they would also give you a free bag of groceries.
Wow.
And they would post these bills or signs that they were coming. They would post them on the poles in the community, because I also remember when the ladies of the Black Panthers, they would come into the schools. And I remember they would pick the little girls' hair, pick their hair out into the nice little afros and things like that. And, they were very, very youth-oriented. And also, when they had the free breakfast program,
yep, absolutely,
there were plenty of white kids sitting at those tables as well.
Absolutely.
They did not discriminate.
Absolutely.
That's all. Have a good one.
All right, thank you, Salai. I mean, what the brother's saying is real. We black people, and I want to put this out here. Whenever we create something, we don't think in terms of mine. We think in terms of us, meaning a general society, right? Because many of us aren't taught to be completely inclusive, where we don't include everybody else in any bills or laws we created. If we look at what they call Obamacare, you know how many other people benefited from Obamacare that's not black? You know what I'm saying? So I remember when I was listening to this black lady talk, and she was saying that, what'd you say, Ms. Tyler? Okay. She was saying that black people try to get in power to help ourselves, and she was saying white people get in power to control the masses and control the position. And that was an interesting concept that she gave. Pardon me. But it's almost time for me to go. I want to say, for the most part, I feel like the show went well. Eddie Claude Jr., everybody else, Amanda, Sly, everybody that called in, Pastor Frank. Great conversation, man, and we will, God's will, we will continue this conversation Thursday or next Monday, God's will. Catch my show Thursday at 5 o'clock. Politics or Politics, you decide, with Tula Cabone and Brother Justin Barnett. And you know what I always say, listen to what people say, watch what they do. What they do is who they are. Your health is your wealth. Your health is your wealth. Love you, Uncle Bill. Love you, Auntie Rosie. Adopted senior citizen. And again, listen, I got to hit home on this. Vote, vote, vote. Stay woke and vote. Power to the people, power to the people, power to the people. Stay woke. And to the lady who didn't call in today, the shirt is the Obamanator. So I can let you see it. Let me stand up so you can see. It's the Obamanator. Thank you. Have a great day. Power to the people.
313watkins.com. Streaming on Roku,